Welcome to the Community Difference Plano. Powered by the Difference Media LLC. And hosted by Nathan Smith with Enfuego Financial. And sponsored by Home Smart Stars. PBJ Mortgage. Gaston Investments. And by Jim Thomas, Business Consulting and Funding. The Community Difference Plano
was created to serve as a platform for local leaders and business professionals to showcase their expertise, values, and commitment to their community. Overall, the podcast aims to create a stronger sense of community in North Texas by highlighting the often overlooked or unnoticed good work being done by local leaders, businesses, and professionals.
So sit back and relax as our host, co-host, and their guests share inspirational stories, experiences, thoughts and insights about being a professional, along with the opportunities for our businesses to serve our communities in very special ways. Because the Community Difference Frisco starts now.
Good morning. Welcome to the Community Difference Plano. I'm your host, Nathan Smith. I am just thrilled to be here with you. This is our second show of the new year. We're excited to be here. Got a great group of co-hosts with us this morning, a great couple of guests, and we're going to have a fantastic conversation. Our goal always with our community shows, this is our fifth community that we're in. I think we're at Denton, Frisco, Rockwall, Wiley, and now Plano. We are, a goal is to bring not only great guest business owners, community leaders, that's going to deliver pertinent content to you, but really help you train and understand what it's going to take to be a successful business owner in this community, right? That's really our goal. The Difference Media is a business development platform that utilizes podcasting and live stream, and the goal of which, again, is to take what you want to do or need to do to. They can hear me okay. You guys still hear me okay? Did I lose you? Everybody good? Okay.
You're freezing up bad, Nathan.
Okay, that's really that's weird. All right, let me fix that real quick. So anyway, our goal is to help really integrate all the areas of brand management and content and networking, and really give our hosts the ability to in a kind of a synergistic way, do that in one fell swoop, which is really a pretty big goal, but also very awesome at the same time. And so as we bring these wonderful business leaders in the community to our guests and guests in front of you, to our audience, to our listeners, the goal is that, man, we really get to know you and you get to know us, and we help each other build something great within our community. And so that's our goal. Now, I'm going to take a moment to introduce our co-host for this week. I'll start off with Jim Thomas. Jim Thomas is really an international business coach, great success for many years. He's the mentor, the business mentor of our producer and the creator of The Difference, Wilson. And he owns and runs FM Consulting. But check this out. He's the founder and president of Fitness Management USA. Got to start kind of in the fitness industry, and now helps businesses just across the board. I want to say not primarily, but a lot so with funding, but really just helping them figure out, hey, what does it take for me to get my business off the ground and be successful? So he is a great friend of the show, great mentor. Good morning, Jim Thomas. How are you doing today?
Nathan, good morning to you. Good to have you here. Good to have you not freezing up.
It's good to be here. You know, you were having some issues before the show. I saved mine for during the show. So hopefully we can get those.
Hopefully we're all squared away now.
Eradicated pretty quickly. Well, talk to us a little bit about what you do, what you're, we've had other shows that you've been on, and you've really given us a clinic in business funding. I know that's a big part of what you do, but talk about FM Consulting for a second.
Yeah, kind of two halves of it. I mean, we work with, new businesses that are starting up and help them get started in terms of, it could be funding, real estate site selection, business planning, all the things that go with doing it right. And then along with that, we work with a lot of businesses that, hey, they got into it and maybe they're in a little over their head. They need some help. And we do a lot of business turnarounds. We do a lot of sales training, a lot of process training in sales, management training, a lot of things just on mindset and, hey, how do we need to think? And, I tell you, one of the interesting things is I was having this conversation yesterday, and we're talking about, the question became, are you sold? Because so many folks think they're sold on what they do, but their behavior doesn't indicate it. And we get into that quite a bit. We've got a buy-sell broker division. And then, as you alluded to, we have funding options for folks that are pre-revenue startups, first unit franchises. We have ways for them to get the ball rolling, get the money they need, and help make them a success.
That's awesome. And, I want to just kind of give everybody an idea of the experience and insight that Jim has had for many years, not only in the fitness industry, but what he does now. And so he's going to be doing some training, I know, for our co-host down the road. And I can't wait as we develop new topics here for February, March, April, all the way through to just really use the knowledge that he has is going to be so beneficial for not only our co-host and guests, but as you're listening, our audience, and you're in the business world, you're wanting to start a business in Plano or really anywhere in the North Texas area, that he's the guy that you want to talk to. So we're so excited to have Jim with us as a co-host, and really just a friend of the difference for really going on 6 to 8 months now, and a longtime friend of Lyndon. So also now I'd like to introduce Jacqueline Crider. She is with PBJ Mortgage. I got to admit, whenever I say PBJ Mortgage, it makes me want a sandwich. But that's just, I'm sure you never heard that before, but that's just how I feel. Peanut butter jelly, maybe because I haven't had lunch yet. I'm not sure. But good morning, Jacqueline. Glad to have you here with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Good to be here. And as silly as it sounds, the whole PBJ concept was just to make it rememberable, make it fun. And mortgage is kind of an important but boring process, right? Like, nobody wakes up in the morning and says, man, you know what I want to do today? I want to borrow $500,000. But you do say, man, I don't have $500,000 in my bank account. And so you need me to help fill the gap. And so we're trying to make mortgage simple as making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So I don't know if it's good to make you hungry, but hopefully it makes it easy to remember, at least on that.
It's very, very easy to remember. Very easy to remember. And then lastly, Miss Sonia Lowry with Gaston Investments. Sonia, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
I am great.
So bubbly and excited. That's a good thing. That's the energy that we need here. How was your weekend?
It was great. It was really great.
Fantastic. I wanna give a quick Brian Podesta gives us a comment. What's up, plan? What's up, Brian? How are you doing? Brian hosts our Frisco show, so glad that he's tuning in with us. Just a quick question, and if you guys, I know our audience didn't see this, but we posed a question earlier in we have a private group for our host and co-host, and it was just what was your kind of a small victory that you had last week in your life, in your business? And I'd like to start with you, Sonia. Just share that with the audience and just share kind of what you're, because sometimes we can get too emotional, right? And we can really just celebrate the big things, and we can really, lament the negatives or the down. But it's good to be more even keel, right? And not get too high, not get too low, but also celebrate the small things that really help us move our day, our life, our business, our relationships along. So what's one or two things this week that last week, whatever, that you feel like, hey, it's a small victory for me?
One of the small victories for me was just being consistent on working on my business every day. And I think that has been the biggest part of creating the success for my business is being consistent. I have to map out time every day, making sure I have a structure, making sure I have a schedule, because I work some odd hours in this journey to entrepreneurship, but I want to make sure that I'm ready for whatever comes my way, good or bad, regardless of what happens on this journey. I need to be able to be consistent. And I think without that consistency, I definitely won't be successful. So I definitely got to say that. That's the biggest part, is being consistent and working on the business every day, getting a little bit done every day.
I think that's so key. And I'm sure, Jim, you probably talk to people about that a lot. It's just, figuring out your schedule, knowing the task of things that you've got to accomplish, and making sure you're moving in that direction each day. Is that something that you really kind of harp on when you're talking with people?
One of the things when you talk about consistency, we had this conversation on our platform earlier this week. Consistency is much better than that rare moment of greatness. And what you want to be is, steady as she goes. And even as the boss, as the employer, that's what your folks want. They want consistency. They want to know what they can expect. They want predictability from you. So I would agree with that completely.
Jim, what was a win in your life this week or last week that you feel like, hey, it's a good thing for me personally?
I'm a big fan of identifying that powerful why. Mm-hmm. Why do we do this? Why do you do this? What is that reason you do it? And my win, and I make sure this is always a win, my win is I accomplish that every single day. And for those of you that don't know me, so yesterday I was busy, a lot going on. It's kind of nonstop. My son, who's a baseball player, they got out earlier than I had anticipated. And he comes walking in and goes, "Hey, are you ready to pitch?" And well, I really wasn't, because I was in the middle of something. But you know what? I am ready to pitch. And so we're going to stop right here, and we're going to go fulfill that powerful why, because that is the reason I do it. It's easy to get consumed with this other stuff sometimes. So that's daily for me. And I don't even call it a small win. I call it a big win.
That's yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because you can really get dragged down into the mundane of whatever you're having to do. And if you don't remind yourself of where am I going with it? Why am I even in this endeavor? Then it can really let some of those negative things, or even just the daily tasks that sometimes aren't pleasant, overwhelm you. So I couldn't agree with you more. That's awesome. Jacqueline, what about you?
So I'm actually in a pretty high level coaching program called CEO Table with Ursula Minchis and Rebecca Hall kind of do that. And there was a competition that we did in December just to be able to be involved sort of in some ad space on Ursula's podcast that she does. And I won. And I found that out yesterday. So that was kind of a cool thing that, and it's just her podcast has very kind of all over the US sort of appeal. And so it'll just obviously broaden the audience for what I do for a living, because I'm very passionate about the education side and just really making sure that we reach people in the right way. So that was exciting.
That's fantastic. Well, we're going to go to break here in about 2 minutes. I want to bring in our two guests today, and I'll introduce Autumn Lawson and Miss Danielle Collender. Danielle does the marketing for the Burn Boot Camp, and of course, that's Autumn's passion and new business just opened up. So, ladies, good morning. Welcome to both of you. How are you doing today?
Awesome. Thanks. How are you?
I am fantastic, Autumn. It's great to meet you. I got a chance to speak backstage with Danielle a little bit before we talk, but before we go to break here, just a quick introduction as far as you. How did you, what prompted you to open the gym? We're gonna really dive into your passion and what you do, but just kind of talk to us about how that process came about.
Sure. Probably the easiest thing to mention is what we always love and appreciate within the gym is what we would call a referral. So I had been a passionate, avid track athlete my entire life. COVID happened and all the gyms closed. I had the opportunity to run into Burn Boot Camp in Prosper, Texas, where I live, and they did not close. They're categorized as health and wellness. They were able to separate people on the floor, kind of put an X on the floor for people to stay within their own space, and therefore the gym didn't close. So it provided me a community. Obviously, during COVID, you were just dying for people interaction. So it gave a spot for me to interact with people, have adult interaction, as well as still be able to work out and make fitness be important to me. So after 3.5 years of working out at Burn Boot Camp in Prosper, I said, hey, constantly referred people to Burn. I would love to be able to open my own and do the same thing and recreate that same experience for people here in the Plano community.
Well, so many small businesses start with a passion, and I can obviously see where you get yours from. Now, Danielle, you do marketing for some other organizations, other companies as well, but how did you get connected with Autumn? Oh, I think you're on mute, Danielle. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. I was actually a member of Burn in California before my husband got stationed here.
Okay.
And the closest location is 30-ish minutes from my house. So I stopped going after we moved here. And so I saw the gym opening. I saw the sign actually, I think it was the day or two after she put the sign up. I was at Target and I emailed them immediately and was like, how much are your rates? I need to get in because I had been going to Burn for probably close to 3 years. I started during COVID as well. And then we just started talking because social media and content creation is kind of the thing that I do, So I was like, hey, I could help you with we were going to help each other. And then I ended up working there and I love it actually. I'm there every day, even if I'm not working because I'm there for camp or just there. But that's kind of how I found the gym again, which is awesome.
That's great. We're going to dive in more with Autumn and Danielle in our 12 o'clock segment. And Autumn, you may not know this. I don't know if you were on when I was talking about this, but Jim got his start really in the fitness industry, and he is really an expert in that field. So hopefully, if there's anything that you want to know or struggling with or trying to figure out as you're launching this endeavor, he is definitely the guy to ask. So we can have some of that conversation at the 12 o'clock hour. We're going to get our first break. When we come back, we're going to figure out what's up Plano, what's going on in Plano. We'll give you the update. So stick around on the Community Difference.
The Community Difference is a new series of shows powered by the Difference Radio live stream and podcast network. This series of shows was designed to highlight the unsung heroes that call our towns and communities home. And we wanted to create a platform that brings awareness to and reminds folks of the goodness that lives within so many of us. By working with the local community leaders, business owners, first responders, veterans, schools, and citizens who want to unite with a clear and selfless purpose, the Community Difference seeks to spotlight the people, events, and activities that are producing positive outcomes, inspirational stories, and incredible experiences. In a world that is consumed with negative press, media manipulation, and propaganda, The Difference, along with many others who believe and support The Difference, understands there is no better way to make the difference than to highlight the unsung heroes that call our towns and communities home. We are currently searching for local communities to be the focus of our shows, but before we can launch a show in your community, we need your help. We need you along with local business leaders, chambers of commerces, major nonprofits, online community group leaders, networking groups, etc. to join us in making the difference in helping your community be seen, be heard, and be remembered. So, if you would like to know how you, your business, school, social media community, church, or your favorite nonprofit organization can be a part of this unique and powerful program, reach out to us today and introduce yourself and let us know how you would like to contribute and bring awareness to the amazing people, places, and events that are making the difference in the community you love. You can call us at 972-866-4596 or email us at info@thedifferenceradio.com.
And now, back to the show.
Welcome back. We are on our second segment here. But before we do that, I want to make an important announcement. So if you'll mark your calendars on February the 7th, that'll be our first Wednesday of February, we will have Mayor John Munz on with us to talk about everything going on in Plano. We're going to just get to know him a little bit as a person, as a mayor, but also ask some questions like Jim and I were talking in the break, and just some questions that really pertain to business owners. Like, why do you want to have a business in Plano? What businesses are Plano actively working on attracting, right? What about the rental space and the landlord space? Is there a way of knowing, like, hey, what properties are available? What's opening up soon? What's the communication level from the city with the citizens and the business owners in the city? So all kinds of different things we can float around while getting to know him. So it's going to be an honor to speak with him. Very excited. But now it's time for probably one of my favorite segments of the show, and it is
What's Up Plano?
Plano. We talk about what's going on. Last week we had a good friend of the show, Shelby Williams, City Council, on to talk about some pretty important things that were going on, different events. One of those is the Texas Forever Fest, which is a celebration of Texas independence. It's going to be on March the 23rd. So if you'll mark your calendars fast, we get closer, we'll talk more about that. But I had the privilege of going last year. It's at Haggard Park right there in downtown Plano, and it's an all-day affair, extremely fun, lots of things going on. It's something I highly recommend that you take your family, take your kids to. It's going to be a fantastic time. But before we do that, I want to take a moment and just kind of share a little bit about what's going on. We were at the library the other day. We usually go to the one by our house. I can't remember which library it was, but got a chance to meet with one of the ladies that kind of runs the library system. And I want to talk about that for just a second, because the level of programs, and not just for kids, but all the way up to adults, that Plano offers, I think most people, and I was really amazed at just how many there were, right? And my wife takes our kids to probably 2 programs a week, especially when it's 9 degrees outside, like it's going to be over the weekend. So make sure you bundle up. It's going to be pretty chilly. And just amazed at what the city offers, what Plano offers. And I want to share a resource with you guys. And we've put this already in the chat, so you should be able to see this resource. But I'm going to share my screen here real quick, if I can. There we go. So the magazine, and you can just go pick this up. You can find it online with the link, but you can also pick up a physical, and they're free in the library. And I'm telling you, the level, I mean, look at all these different, open to age 16, all these different business management classes, money classes, finance classes, buying a car so you don't get screwed over. That's important. Estate planning. And then, of course, all different things from professional skills. You see all these different Adobe skills. So all these are classes that you can take. They're free, right? Which is, it looks like most of them are anyways, that really help you, increase your skills, do something fun, have something to do with the kids, all different types of events, citizenship classes, English as a second language. So everything you really want to know about the different programs, businesses, library events, community events, right, is in this publication. And there's a spring version and a fall version. So spring version will take us up to kind of through summer. Basically, they should probably call it spring and summer, but they don't. That's okay. And then they've got the fall version as well. So, man, I could talk about each of these for like an hour, but I was just amazed. And I want to make sure that we put this resource in your hands as community engaged citizens and not even business owners as well. So I want to bring in everybody for just a second and just talk a little bit about, because there's another resource that I want to share in just a moment. But Jacqueline, you grew up here. You went to Plano Senior?
No, so I went to Plano schools all the way up to my sophomore year, and then actually I would have graduated from Plano, but I actually went to Trinity Christian in Addison. But I went to Carlisle and then Schimmelfinnick, Jasper through 9th grade, and then I switched over and I went to private for the last 3 years. But Plano, I will say they have an amazing library system. Their library system is incredible. There's so many cool things you could do. It was a tradition of my family. When you were in kindergarten, you got your own library card. I still have mine, my old school kindergarten library card from Plano. And for those of you who don't know, in Plano, they have an incredible bike trail system. And most of the libraries are actually connected via bike trail system. And most of the bike trails go underneath the roads. Yeah, they go underneath the roads. There's a couple that go over the roads, and there's like a crosswalk there. Some of the more west side of Plano, they do that. But if you are central Plano to east, you literally could go underneath the roads and go to just about every public library very easily without ever crossing a major street, because that's how we got around as kids.
What are some things, and you have, remind me how old your kids are. I'm totally blanking.
So I have adult stepchildren, and then I have a 2-year-old.
A 2-year-old, right? So, What are some things that you do with your 2-year-old?
We do a lot of like Plano has a really great park system.
Yes,
and she loves Arbor Hills, like loves it. And if you guys have never been there, there's like a couple of playgrounds, like a little kid playground and a bigger kid playground. And then they have, trails, like a big walking trail, as well as there is little like trails that are more like an adventure, like, you know what I mean? They're not paved, that you could kind of go through. And it's like a lot of acres. I can't remember if it's 75 or 100 acres of land. My parents actually live like right across the street from it. And there's all kinds of really beautiful like wildlife.
You got Arbor Hills, you got Oak Point. Those are two
Mhm.
major, and those are my kids. I mean, I love it too. We go walking.
Yeah.
2 or 3
Well, and
times.
she just loves, like, there's so many different kinds of animals and stuff you see. I mean, my parents live on that golf course right across the street, and you see all kinds of animals all the time. I mean, you don't really think of, Plano is pretty suburban, and you don't really think of like wild animals, but you see all kinds of stuff.
Now, did we lose Danielle? Did she fall off? I think she fell off. Well, get her back here. Autumn, let's first. I don't know this. Do you have kids? We haven't got a chance to talk yet.
I have a child. Just
a
one.
child. Okay, how old?
And I have a 9-year-old son.
9-year-old son. What do you guys like to do around town?
So Aiden is very active, and so he plays football. He is actually on a league that's for flag football that's coming up this spring. That's at Prestonwood Christian in Plano. He also plays soccer. He's played 16 seasons of soccer and runs track each summer. This will be his 3rd summer running track. I ran track in college, as I said, and so he just naturally has very quick feet. He's very, very fast, and so it translates well for soccer and football.
Okay, and there are a ton of sports leagues. I know hockey is actually getting really big in North Texas through the Dallas Stars. I think they have a location. I know they have one in Frisco, East to live, but they have one now in Plano too. I think they even have one in Richardson. It's like or somewhere close by, but that's a really big sport. And so the sports leagues I mean, my son's done soccer. Tried to talk my wife and let him do football. He hasn't expressed an interest yet. He's only 3.5, so we'll see how that.
Well, you
see.
have a little bit of time.
I got time. I don't care if I'm not one of those people that I don't have to push him to football. Like, that's fine. If he wants it, great. If he wants to play rugby, I don't care what he wants to do.
I was the one who was pushed into football. I was saying, let's wait. And he and my husband kind of forced me into jumping on the football bandwagon sooner than I wanted.
It's probably safer as a kid than it is at a fast-paced high school or college. So, Danielle, we know you have hockey shout out from Brian Podesta. Brian, big hockey fan. He's from Chicago.
I was going to say Chicago boy. Love
we don't hold that
hockey.
Against him. Ask him how his Blackhawks are doing, just in case. I'll tell you, they're terrible. I'll just go ahead and put that out there. Sorry,
The
Brian.
reason northern people like hockey is because there's nothing else to do when it snows.
That's true. That's true, Lyndon. 100% true.
I didn't like hockey until I started I worked for the Allen Americans when they got their first team. And so the adrenaline rush of being out there on around the glass, because like when they had fights, we had to be there so the crowd would move to the glass. That was like, yes, I'm in love with this now. It's like that's what got me was adrenaline rush, just being there. But watching it on TV, it was different. But being there was awesome.
It's the best live sport.
It's better.
Yeah, it is.
What else they do in the cold? I mean, Canada's other major sport is curling. And have you ever watched that? It's real boring.
Yes.
Yes, I've watched curling. Yeah.
First time I watched curling, I thought it was a joke.
You were like, what
is
are they
satire?
doing? Is this like shuffleboard with some giant thing? Yeah, I mean, kind of.
Yeah, it's shuffleboard grass, isn't it?
Yeah, basically. Danielle, I know you have a couple of kids. What do you guys like to do for fun around Plano?
A lot. I have 3 kids, so we do
3 kids. Okay.
Yeah. I have a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old, and an 8-year-old. He's almost 9.
Goodness.
But so we have done a lot with the libraries. I like that you brought that up. Actually, we've done like the story times while he's at school with the younger kids. Prestonwood has a free playground that's really cool in Plano that you can go to during the day.
Nice. That's good to know.
I'm not used to the weather here, so this time of year we kind of are looking for all the indoor stuff.
Yeah.
It's a little cold. I was in California for 3 years before this, so I'm not used to.
Is the playground indoor at Prestonwood?
There's 2. There's an indoor one and there's an outdoor one. The outdoor one's amazing, and the indoor one is pretty cool too. I think it's only closed on Saturday. That's where my parents go to church.
I've never been to the outdoor one, but the indoor one is open from I think 10 to 4 Monday through Friday.
Okay, that's good. I tell my wife about that.
Yeah, you just go in and it looks like a hamster cage kind of. It's one of those big giant indoor playgrounds. And then honestly, like as cheesy as it sounds, like we go to the gym a lot because they really like Child Watch. And so there's like a playground for that, not playground, but like toys and stuff for them to do there.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. Well, we try to. I mean, getting your kids into fitness early is a huge thing. Fortunately, I'm trying to get back in better shape myself. I'll just say I've lost 30 pounds. I'm pretty excited about that. And so we walk all the time. We work out all the time, just very active. So we're trying to be that way. So that is our time for What's Up Plano. Guys, thank you so much for sharing that. I can't wait to have the mayor on the 7th, not only to talk about this, but just to get to know him better. When we come back, we're going to put Danielle and Autumn on the hot seat. It's not that hot, so don't worry. And get to know them a little bit better, what drives in their passions, what they're all about. So stick around. We'll be right back on the Plano Community Difference.
The Community Difference Plano is made possible by Nathan Smith with Enfuego Financial, Jim Thomas, business consultant and business funding expert, Brenda Thompson with Home Smart Stars, Sonia Lowry with Gaston Investments and Development, and by Jacqueline Crider with PBJ Mortgage. The Community Difference Plano. Together, we can make the difference. And now, back to the show.
All right, as we dive back in here, I want to get to know our wonderful guests and engage with them just a little bit more. And so we'll have everybody up, and feel free to jump in as you can, as you want to, our co-host, as we go through some questions. But you talked a little bit about, Autumn, what drew you to your profession with the gym. But I want to know for Danielle, I know what you do in marketing but what drew you to marketing specifically?
I just like networking with people, honestly. Like before I got into marketing, I did real estate, and I just liked to interact with people. I wasn't a huge fan of real estate, honestly. Like I didn't like that part of it, but I liked doing all the fun, like getting our name out there and stuff. And then when we moved, I was trying to find something that I could kind of bring with me. Obviously, getting licensed in every state was kind of unrealistic. And so that's kind of where I found marketing. It kind of just happened. It fell into place. It's been more fun for me than a job. So I don't know. I don't have like a clear answer.
So it just kind of like with what you like to do, it's just something that kind of you could continue doing. So you really did marketing so you can continue doing networking and meeting people, basically. Usually it's the other way around. So you're just like, okay, what can I do so I can meet more people? That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I probably annoy Autumn too, because I'm like, oh, let's do this event, like let's do this, and she's like, hold on, like slow down, we gotta chill for a second. But it's really fun for me. I like event planning and like bringing people together. It's kind of
Autumn, at what point did you know, like, this is, because obviously you were working out before, you're in good shape, you were doing the burn camp, the boot camp, but what was it that drove you to kind of to be an entrepreneur, so like, hey, I can do this myself? Did you get businesses before?
That question every single day. I've been in commercial banking for the last 14 years of my career. And so I had been on the other seat of the table, helping people navigate their finances, navigate opening businesses, get funding for those businesses, and then also manage their cash day to day. So very scary step for me to take to now switch seats. And I still ask myself daily, why would I go from something that's very regimented? It's already tried and true. I know exactly when my paycheck is coming, and I know exactly how much it's going to be, to now going into something that's me stepping out on a limb. But ultimately, that's what we do at Burn Boot Camp. And I apologize if you can hear the noise. There's now a noon camp that has just started just on the other side of this wall. But essentially, that's what we do. We encourage people to go beyond their limits, to go just that little extra mile, to attempt to do something beyond what they think they can do. And then you should see the faces light up when they go, oh, I had no idea that I had it in me, that my body was capable of that my mind was ready for that. And so I have to just use that same strength that I try to empower other people with, really to just empower myself daily.
So I have a question for Jim, because, Jim, it's interesting because you guys have a lot of things in common. Hopefully y'all can connect after this and maybe grab some lunch or something, because there's definitely, even what he does now, you're talking about helping businesses get funded and off the ground before you did this yourself. But I want to ask Jim, one of the things that we ask a lot of guests, and I guess it's this, we in the employee world, there's this constant grab for what we call work-life balance. Okay. But that doesn't really exist as an entrepreneur, or if you and you usually find that at some point. And so I want to ask you guys, Danielle and Anna, both working mom, entrepreneur moms, how you balance. There still is a personal life and professional life. Before I do that, Jim, when you hear that phrase of work-life balance, or because there are things that you have responsibility for in your personal life as you're building a business, how do you coach people to prioritize and finagle the words you want to use so they don't lose sight of what they need to do, but also they don't lose their mind? Does that make sense?
Okay, big question there. Okay, and everybody is different on this. There's no two people that are the same. And I can tell you one of the things that I hear so frequently is people will say, doggone it, I think I've gone and bought me a job. And what they want to do is they want to turn it into a business. They don't want it to be a job. And one of the things, I'll just give you one little example that we spent a fair amount of time talking about with some folks is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this term or not, but lifestyle entrepreneur. And so what most people will do is they'll have a job or a business or a career, and their lifestyle revolves around that. And that lifestyle could be 2 weeks vacation, could be, holidays off, I get weekends and, paid time off, whatever it might be. And kind of in the modern world, kind of what we're doing right here, right now, really, that lifestyle entrepreneur, what you decide is, hey, what do I want my lifestyle to be? What is my preferred lifestyle? And then what you do is you go to work building your business around the lifestyle, not the other way around. Don't build the business and then have the lifestyle around that. Here's my lifestyle. Here's how I want to live. And I want to build the business around it. And, the thing that I would say, no matter where you're at or what you're doing, live your ideal life now. And, the power of the internet lets you do an awful lot of things that at one time you couldn't do.
So you're saying a lot of people they get their business going and then they try to cram their life into it somehow. Excuse me, I just hit my microphone. You're saying, figure out the life you want and then make the business fit into that. Is that my understanding?
Yeah, business revolves around that. I'll give you an example. I won't name names here, but this is a client. She was a client a couple of years ago. We got involved in her company. We helped improve it. And while we were helping to improve it, we were also building an online product. And what it was is she was very good. She was personality plus, very good. And she was doing online classes. You could, buy memberships and be online and all the things that go with that. And we were developing that while we were building her business. And we eventually sold her business to now she has the online business. And what was her ideal lifestyle? She was getting married. Her husband was retired, a little bit older than her, and they wanted to travel. They wanted to be at the beach. And so she could take this product, she could put these classes on there, she can get sponsors, get people involved, she could do it from anywhere. And even in the modern world with CRMs and technology, there's an awful lot you can do, remotely, if that's what you're looking for. I'm not saying that's going to be for everybody, but that idea of that lifestyle entrepreneur. And I think Tim Ferriss wrote the book 4 Hour Work Week is kind of what was the tipping point of a lot of that.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind, Nathan, I'd love to kind of segue into that because and piggyback, but ultimately that's essentially what I did. That my lifestyle already was such that I was going to the gym daily. I have a child who was coming into Child Watch. I got my husband involved. He liked going to the gym, even though Burn Boot Camp is very heavy women centric. He then bought into it sometime later. And then now on a daily, we're all going to the gym. So ultimately now our lifestyle hasn't changed. Now we are all going to the gym. It just happens to be the gym that I own. So we're coming regularly. We're all, getting involved. And now the other thing I would say is hiring the right people, training the right people, empowering the right people, so that on the days that I do need that work-life balance, where I need to be away so that I can be a mom on the soccer field, or be at church for worship, or be in my sorority events, when I have to be away, I still have trusted, amazing people like Danielle that have years of experience in their craft, that are passionate about what they're doing, and doesn't feel like work, to where they're still coming and the ball is still churning without me having to be here every day. So it is a combination of already integrating that lifestyle, but also making sure that you empower and give people the space to operate in their own craft and their own gift. And I can tell you, Danielle does marketing and social media 10 times better than I would be able to. So really then just taking that step back so that you can still have that work-life balance.
Danielle, it sounds like, based on what you said earlier, that you did do kind of the same thing, wanting to, hey, I like people. I want to get to know people. I want to be around people. What business will allow me to do that? That's the life I want to live. So is that, you still obviously are a mom, right? And I don't want to say on the side, because that's really full time, right? Taking care of kids, especially young ones. But what would your answer be to that, or how would you see that in your own life?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's definitely kind of what I did. Like my Instagram, like the main brands and stuff that I partner with are like family brands. Like, I feel like there's not even a balance, because it is like, I just get things and I share things that I use. And so it's kind of all wrapped together. And then even with the gym too, like if they didn't have child watch, it's not something I would have aligned myself with anyway. So it kind of just fits in. That's something I was already going to be doing. Like I told Autumn, I was going to get a membership regardless if I worked there or not. So that's exactly what I did. I found what I wanted to do. I want to be able to like involve my kids and be home and be able to move if the military moves us again and take it with me. And that's been it. I mean, Instagram and that platform has opened a lot of doors for that, which is awesome.
And see, to add to that, for me, I had to make some changes. I went to this conference in Florida called 10X Ladies, Elena Cardone and Grant Cardone, that they do every year. And the one thing Grant said before we left, he said, when you get home, what are you willing to sacrifice to get to where you want to be? And so literally when I came back home from August to October, I did more in that time than I had done in the past 2 years, because I was consistent and I said, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to get on this entrepreneurship journey and do some of the things that I love. So I got this job that I'm on now, and I'm working 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. So that allows me during the day to work on my business. And that's why I had to create a schedule so I can have a work-life balance, because I also have a grandson, because my daughter's in the military. And so I also take care of him when she's deployed. And so the most important thing for me, my grandpa always said, you're never too old to take a nap. So I make sure that I have a schedule so that I can have a work-life balance, to be able to assist with my grandson, to be able to work on my business on the side, as well as work full time. And I think that having that structure in your life will help you have that work-life balance. You have to have a schedule. You can have a lifestyle, you can have work, but you also got to make sure you have your mental health as well as your health in general, because those two things are so important. Because if you're not okay mentally, if you're not okay physically, those two things right there, will not allow you to get to where you want to be in your business. So it's very important that you have some type of work-life balance and structure in order to maintain the consistency that you need to get to where you want to be.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with that.
I like that. What do you guys, in our next segment, we're going to talk about, as a business owner, what it looks like to really integrate in the community, give back to the community, be involved in the community. But I want to ask you two this question. Somebody looking to get involved locally in the community, and mainly through the lens of as a business owner, entrepreneur, but maybe any other way that you feel is pertinent. But what advice would you give them to say, here I am, here's what I want, here's who I am, what I want to be a part of, etc. How does somebody take the steps to do that like you guys have? Now I have to call on somebody. I'll start with Autumn. You're like, who goes first?
Sorry, I wasn't 100% sure who you were asking.
Both of you. My mistake.
phrase all the time. It's a coin phrase. Do it scared, right? Make sure you have the confidence that it's going to take. That's exactly what we sell at Burn Boot Camp. Yes, we are a fitness facility. We're all about health and wellness. We have a certified nutritionist on staff. We have certified personal trainers. We even have an OBGYN on staff. She literally practices medicine during the day and trains in the evenings. So we can offer all these things, but ultimately what we sell is confidence. And so that's what it's going to take in order to step out and build your business and do something that may seem a little bit scary, seem a little risky. You may not have all the answers. I remember when being asked to write out a 3-year cash forecast and projections. And I go, man, 3 years, I'm just trying to look for the next 3 months or the next 6 months. So to now try to forecast 3 years out, the beauty about Burn Boot Camp is, luckily, this is a franchise. So I've been able to kind of partner alongside some of the franchise partners and owners of other locations in the area, as well as owners that are in different states. There's almost 400 locations across the nation. So I could kind of leverage their expertise and their knowledge. But if it's a brand new business and it's a startup that is a passion project from within, it's going to feel scary. It's going to feel tricky. City of Plano is very, very tough. I had my share of challenges in getting permitting and getting the doors open. But again, just keeping that persistence, remaining confident, getting plugged in with the right people. Don't forsake the network, because sometimes, hey, you've already gone through it, or what worked for you could very well work for me. And so just leveraging those various partnerships and hearing from stories. I think, Nathan, what you're doing now is awesome, because now people get to hear from various people and build those connections that they may have not had without this podcast. So that's what, I would say specifically for launching a business within Plano, it can be challenging. And I heard, all the hesitations from the contractors and everybody, the bankers and everyone going, hey, Plano is tough. It is, but it can be very rewarding once you're over that hill.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well, we're going to continue this conversation on the other side and dive in a little more deeper to really as we continue to highlight these wonderful entrepreneurs, but also looking into what it looks like to really integrate and be a part of our communities in different areas, different facets. So stick around. We'll be right back.
The Community Difference is a new series of shows powered by the Difference Radio live stream and podcast network. This series of shows was designed to highlight the unsung heroes that call our towns and communities home. And we wanted to create a platform that brings awareness to and reminds folks of the goodness that lives within so many of us. By working with the local community leaders, business owners, first responders, veterans, schools, and citizens who want to unite with a clear and selfless purpose, the Community Difference seeks to spotlight the people, events, and activities that are producing positive outcomes, inspirational stories, and incredible experiences. In a world that is consumed with negative press, media manipulation, and propaganda, The Difference, along with many others who believe and support The Difference, understands there is no better way to make the difference than to highlight the unsung heroes that call our towns and communities home. We are currently searching for local communities to be the focus of our shows, but before we can launch a show in your community, we need your help. We need you along with local business leaders, chambers of commerces, major nonprofits, online community group leaders, networking groups, etc., to join us in making the difference in helping your community be seen, be heard, and be remembered. So, if you would like to know how you, your business, school, social media community, church, or your favorite nonprofit organization can be a part of this unique and powerful program, reach out to us today and introduce yourself and let us know how you would like to contribute and bring awareness to the amazing people, places, and events that are making the difference in the community you love. You can call us at 972-866-4596 or email us at info@thedifferenceradio.com.
And now, back to the show.
Welcome back as we continue our topic for the month of January, highlighting entrepreneurs that are really making a difference in the community, that are really doing something special, but also then figuring out what's the best way to, as a business owner, to make that impact in our community, to integrate ourselves, not only as businesses, but as individuals. And so really there are a lot of different ways to do that. And as I've been thinking through this and researching and kind of looking at my own experience, other business owners, et cetera, it really comes down to kind of three ways: economic impact, community engagement, and then the something that you can never get away from in any aspect of life is building relationships. And so one of the things that I feel like small businesses do best, and obviously larger businesses do this, but it is creating jobs, right? And creating those opportunities for people within the community. One of the things that and Lynn and I, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we've talked about this before on another show, but something that I think small businesses, sometimes they do really well, sometimes they don't, is sourcing whatever they need from their business locally, whether it's food, whether it's products, whether it's, and sometimes what you need, you can't get locally, but as best you can to source locally, to shop locally, to support locally. And that actually becomes a cascade effect to help you build relationships. But talk about you guys, and this is for anybody. What have you found beneficial, or how have you done that in your own business, whether it be sourcing locally or shopping locally? Anybody can jump in.
Okay, so with the marketing that I've been doing, I think the biggest thing is like building partnerships. And I like that you brought up the library. So one of the things that we are doing at Burn is trying to source locally, but also build a community aspect. And we really liked the way that the library does story times. And so we're actually opening up a story time on Tuesdays at 9:15, starting hopefully on the 16th, maybe the week after. There's another small business though in the Willow Bend Mall that he is a book publisher. His name is Franklin the Helper. That's the name of the store. He's a children's book. I don't know if you've seen them before.
It sounds vaguely familiar for some reason.
He's been on PBS. He's been all over DFW, and we've made a relationship with them. They're going to be coming in and being guest readers for our story time. So we're building relationships with other small businesses and giving them kind of like a way for them to help them build engagement, but on the same token, we're kind of like sharing it's a win-win for everybody. Another thing that we have been doing is with Girl Scout cookies are going on right now. There's a lot, it's not a small business, but it's Girl Scout cookies. These little girls are trying to sell stuff. So we're allowing the Girl Scouts to come in and put a booth up on Saturdays and, build the community like that. And I think that that's like the best thing we've done. And I like that like we're sourcing locally. We're not going to like Costco and buying cookies and letting them sell cookies, or making sure like the actual Girl Scout troops from Plano Girl Scouts are coming in. And this bookstore is across the street at Willow Bend, and he's a local books. He's not, Barnes and Noble isn't sending an employee.
And we know Costco doesn't hold the candle to Girl Scout cookies.
No, yeah, I mean, it's kind of,
be honest here.
It's a little mean to our members. Honestly, they're going to come in at the gym at 9:30 in the morning and then have Girl Scout cookies. But it's a good experience, I think, for the community to build up that and know that they can come to us when they want a partnership as well, or if they need, we can do private camps. Autumn had a sorority come in and do a private camp at our location, which was really fun, and kind of things like that within the community.
Jim, in that same vein, as you're coaching and counseling people with their businesses, getting them off the ground, I know you probably take a good look at the economic footprint around their business. But as far as, maybe sourcing things locally or finding areas to engage with local business owners, how do you go about coaching that? Or is that part of the process? Or is that just something that kind of organically happens?
Yeah, there's a lot of things you can do. And, one of the little philosophies that we try to use a lot of times, particularly, I'll kind of use that new startup that maybe, hey, we're watching our money. Okay, we don't want to overspend, or go to a turnaround where they simply cannot. And so how can we do more with less? How can we maximize this without going crazy, either in our time or in our expenditures? I'll give you a couple things that work extremely well. It's what I call a blog swap and an email swap. And what we're looking for by and large is companies that are symbiotic. They're similar to what we do. If we're in the fitness industry, maybe it's nutritional outlets, maybe it's smoothie factories, maybe it's Sprouts, maybe it's things that are similar, cryotherapy clinics. And we'll collaborate, and they may send out one of our emails to their database. We'll do the same for them. We'll do the same thing with the blog. And I can give you an example outside of this area. We did that with a group we had that was really struggling. They had very unique product. They were having a hard time getting market share, but they had a juicer just down the road, and that juicer had a marvelous email database, and they ended up doing email swaps and blog swaps, and it literally changed the entire fortunes of that company. And the cost on that was nothing.
So there are, so big kind of, if I sum up what you're saying, like you can do these things without like making it a huge budget line item or something like that, or making it something that's extremely difficult. There's always ways to do that for sometimes free or very little, which is, you know, as you're starting off, you want to keep those costs low.
I think you want to, and I think you have to, because most businesses, I mean, most of them are going to be doing Google AdWords or some kind of paid marketing, and they're going to do some kind of a click funnel or some kind of digital marketing. That's going to cost, and hopefully they're tracking that. But then alongside of that, now we're doing programs that's going to generate traffic flow into our business that has no hard costs associated to it. That's how you start driving your cost per customer down.
That's very interesting, very fascinating.
Well, and a lot of businesses are collaborative, like that don't think about being collaborative, like what I do in my space, right? So, you know, we do loans for people all over Texas, but we specifically deal with mainly DFW. But you know what I mean? There's all these people moving to the area. So then if there's people specifically that have moved to Plano, you know, I can make a suggestion that they need to check out Autumn's Gym, you know what I mean? Or they own a business and they need some marketing help or whatever. Then I can say, hey, you know, have you met Danielle? There's like some ways, I agree, like with Jim, that you can do some swapping of things that are not necessarily, you know, it's not necessarily buying products specifically, but information that can kind of help collaborative industries and make things better that way.
That, and you know, you talk about collaboration and ways that you can find those relationships or opportunities in businesses that may not seem to be able to mesh at all. And one of those, from an engagement standpoint, is either sponsoring local events or hosting local events, workshops, etc. I know, Danielle, you kind of mentioned that with the Girl Scouts, but there are many ways to do either as a sponsor or as a host. If you have a space, you know, where you can do certain things that put your name out there, but also immediately give a relationship building component with whoever you're involved with, the community, etc. What are some ways that you guys have seen that work personally in your business or other businesses, or what does that look like in y'all space?
So I, on another note, have a mom group that I work with. I'm an admin in, and we actually did a like a small business market in December. It was in McKinney, just because we didn't have a venue out here that we found, but it was really cool because I now have like a bunch of networks with these businesses that came in and set up tents, and we only charged enough to cover the venue costs. So it was more of like a collaboration with all of them to try to get our mom group out there. That worked really well. I think that we're planning on doing one in spring, hopefully in Plano, because the weather will be better. We won't need an indoor venue. Autumn, do you want to build off that a little bit?
No, I think you've covered it from the standpoint that I would. So I'm good on that one.
So there's a lot of things we, you know, I think we've highlighted that a lot of this really goes back to building relationships. I know that that's cliche and it sounds, you know, like kind of an obvious thing, but what have we always talked about, Lyndon, is that, you know, businesses fail because really not enough people know what they do. Well, how do you know how do you want people to know what you do? Well, you can hire Danielle and you can do marketing, and obviously that's a big thing. And you should probably do that, right? You should probably have a marketing strategy of some point or some capacity. But a big element of, you know, people can know of you, but if they don't know you, then you're really missing out on a whole other side of engagement and relationship building. And so, when it comes to building relationships, obviously with your customers, your client base, getting to know them, you know, things like supporting local organizations, celebrating, you know, local talent, and really creating a welcoming environment, not only in your business, but just around, you know, whatever you see this in downtown Plano, for instance, where we had Jacqueline's mom on, Mona Crider. She owns I'm totally blanking on because it's such a strange word.
Lefufera.
Yes, which we did discover was an actual English word. I don't remember what it means. But right there on the square, downtown Plano, and you go down there and you just, those are old buildings. So they've been around a long time. So they kind of have similarities. There's a huge history down there. Half that burned down in the 1800s. They rebuilt it, right? And so you see this natural collaborative effort because they all know each other, and they're kind of forced to because they're right next to each other. So you get a kind of a similar, like every business is different. There's restaurants, there's business, but you get a whole feel just in that whole area because of the energy and the atmosphere around downtown. You've got the park, you've got the performance venue, you've got the train coming through there, multiple times a day. And there's just a natural welcoming environment to that area. But what about if you're in a very kind of mundane shop, storefront, or you're in a standalone building that's not around a bunch of other businesses? How do you stand out, or how do you really address that, if that makes sense? So those are some things I want us to be thinking about. We're going to go to our last break, and when we come back, I want to address that one question,
Sure.
and then we're going to do some rapid fire, some fun stuff before we wrap up. So stick around. We'll be right back.
The Community Difference Plano is made possible by Nathan Smith with Enfuego Financial, Jim Thomas, business consultant and business funding expert, Brenda Thompson with Home Smart Stars, Sonia Lowry with Gaston Investments and Development, and by Jacqueline Crider with PBJ Mortgage. The Community Difference Plano. Together, we can make the difference. And now, back to the show.
All right, as we wrap up, I want to just tackle the last thing right before the break here and take about 2 minutes. If anybody wants to chime in on, what are some things, if you're, and maybe this is a question for Jim or Danielle from a marketing perspective, but if you're not already surrounded by kind of a business community that helps that integration process, helps that relationship building process, what are some things that you guys would recommend to get yourself out there to say, here I am, here's what we do, here's what we want to be about in the community, we want to plug in, we want to make the difference? How would you guys suggest that kind of start that process? Does that make sense?
I want to jump in if you're okay with that.
Sure, go ahead.
That we've done in the preceding months are what we call pop-up camps. We've been able to go out to schools. We did an event at Barksdale Elementary. They had a color run, so several of the trainers were out there throwing some of the colors at the kids while they were doing their color run, all elementary kids. We've done pop-up camps at an event center in Plano, more centralized Plano. We've done a pop-up camp at a bank, and even now we're looking at going into children's learning adventure. So we're able to do pop-up camps. Our gym does not have any machines because your body is a machine. So we offer different pieces of equipment, whether it's a jump rope or a slider or a little mini hurdle that people can step over, or if you need to modify it up, jump over it, right? So we have different modifications for all fitness levels, which allows us, without machines, to go into other places. So we can go to local parks. We can go into corporate offices. Somebody just reached out yesterday asking for us to go into their corporate office and host a camp for a 30-minute kind of recess for their employees. So there's lots of ways that we can still build community engagement without, even though we are right in front of Target, across from Willow Bend, we are in a high trafficked area. But even if we weren't, we would still be able to increase that community engagement and allow people to know that we're here. Then once people come in the doors, how we build relationship, we will know every person's name. It is a requirement. It is a brand standard that we know the people's names that come through the door, and not even your name, but your children's name and your husband's name, so that when you come in, we can say, hey, Jacqueline, how's your son so-and-so? Hey, Nathan, how's your daughter so-and-so? We can ask about your family and you feel connected. With a boutique style gym, we do not focus largely on numbers. It's mostly about that individual coaching, that individual relationship, and that nutrition guidance per person. We consider ourselves personal trainers in a group setting. So very, very heavy on relationship building, networking, and going into other places as we need to and can.
I was going to say, and Nathan, I can speak to this because remember, I mean, what I do is not really, it's very like phone centric, technology centric. Like I don't do a lot of physically meeting with people. Like, I mean, in the sense of like my regular business, right? So like, I don't ever typically go and meet my client when we're qualifying you for a mortgage. Like that's just not typically how that works for convenience for them and all the other things. But what I do try to do is do classes. So we do in person a lot of times for VA. So my husband is a 100% disabled veteran. It's very important that we serve the veteran community. And so we do classes specifically on how to utilize your VA benefits, or we'll host a class about first-time home buying. Or that I'm really passionate about just education in general. So I'm working on trying to go into inner city schools and teaching kids about money and credit and things that will affect their life like long term. So you can involve yourself in your community, even if you're not physically facing, like I don't have like a storefront that you're just gonna walk in and like meet the mortgage company, but I try to make myself centric to the community by being involved in other ways, like hosting things that will be helpful for them, or going to, like Danielle was talking about, a mom's group pop-up type of a thing, stuff like that.
Well, that's the same thing I do as well, Jacqueline. I go to different events. I try to do a lot of educational stuff to learn more about the entrepreneurship journey, but just when I go to these different events, I meet people that want to partner, that want to do things, because we have the same goals, have the same mindset of, getting to another level in our business. And so it's mostly about just networking and growing those investment partnerships. And that's what my business is about, is growing those investment partnerships to that way we'll be able to, even though we're small businesses, we can create those partnerships with the bigger corporations to let them know, hey, we make a difference just like you, because we offer those jobs that, nobody else has because the corporations are so much bigger. But it's just about getting involved in the community and letting people know, hey, I'm here if you need me, and, working together as a team.
Can I go ahead?
I was just gonna say want to wrap up here real quickly, and I want to take a moment to just thank you both to Autumn and to Danielle for being on with us as guests, and thank you to Sonia and Jim and Jacqueline, our wonderful co-host. We have about 6-10 minutes left, and I want to just take a second and do a little rapid fire, kind of a little lighter here, get to know everybody just a little bit. And I'll ask this one question we asked last week, so I won't ask it to our co-host, but I do want to ask it to our guests, and it's a silly question. I have no idea if you guys do karaoke or not, but if you do, or if you were forced to do it, let's just say gun to your head, you had to do, what would be your go-to song? I always find that very interesting. What people choose. Autumn, we'll start with you, and I think you're on mute still. Can you guys hear me? Or Danielle, either one of you guys?
I can hear you.
I don't sing at all. Like I have no rhythm whatsoever as far as like any of that. So,
but you have to pick a song. You can't cop out. You got to pick one.
Honestly, I have kids, so like I'm sorry, but probably like the Baby Shark songs. That's the only song. You.
Baby Shark, do.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Autumn, what about you? I think you're go. There you go.
So I would say just when you said it, the first thing that came to mind, and this isn't even my favorite song or anything, but the first song that comes to mind during karaoke is one that everybody gets all fired up about. And it's by Lauryn Hill and the Fugees. And it's like strumming my pain.
Oh yeah. The
Killing Me Softly.
Killing Me Softly is a great choice.
I'm not a singer. It's not what I do.
That's okay. Most people that sing karaoke aren't singers. That's why it's funny. So that's fine. So Killing Me Softly and Baby Shark. Okay, we've never got those answers before. That's very exciting.
Hey, Nathan, I've got a Baby Shark thing I want to share with everybody. I learned to play Baby Shark on the piano so I could impress my grandson.
Hey,
that's hilarious.
It's crazy.
He thinks I'm a stud now because I can play Baby Shark on the piano.
You're Rachmaninoff over there.
I found out that one of my stepdaughters has never done karaoke, so we're about to cross that off her list, whether she knew that or not.
You got to do live band karaoke. I told everybody last week I'm kind of spoiled, but it's a whole other game changer. So I got a good band I could share with you, Jacqueline. Before we wrap up here, a little more serious kind of rapid fire question. Everybody has these people that they, mentors that you maybe physically have in your life. I know Jim's been a huge influence on Lyndon and all of us here on the show, but and I'm curious, Jim, I'll start with you. Who is a guy that's really been a mentor for you that maybe someone personal or someone in the larger sphere that we would all know that you listened to growing up and that has made a big impact in your life?
Well, man, that's actually a pretty easy question for me. This is going back a number of years, but when I first got started in the fitness industry and I became pretty good at it pretty quick, I advanced pretty quick. And when I was 22 years old, the owner of that company came to me and said, "Hey, Jim, if you'll move to Dallas, we'd like to make you a partner." And he taught me nearly everything that I really, from a baseline of everything that I could have ever hoped to know, because he did it from a grassroots, boots on the ground, guerrilla marketing, do more with less. Today we're much more sophisticated. I think in some ways we get away from some of that core stuff, but without question, it was that gentleman that George Shore was his name, from Overland Park, Kansas, if anybody knows that area.
Kansas, fantastic. And Sonia, what about you?
Well, my dad was an entrepreneur growing up. So that's where I got the work ethic, the drive, because watching him as an entrepreneur and all the things that he did, he always worked all the time. But he was one of those that always took care of everything, but he was consistent. And so for me, even though he's not here now, it's just that I took everything that he did and I carry it with me every day. And that's how I know I'm going to be successful in this, because I had a great role model.
You talked about that consistency earlier. Now it's cool to see that you got that from him. Danielle, who's somebody that you look up to, whether we know them or somebody personal in your life that's made a big difference?
So I had a client when I did real estate. Her name was Renee Garcia, and she was actually, Autumn, I talked to her about you the other day because you remind me a lot of Renee. She was a single mom, and she moved from Chicago to Southern California and is now she's like in her 50s. Her son's like my age. But I ended up being her realtor while she was flipping houses, investing. She has houses in like 8 states now. She owns a salon in Southern California. She actually 2 salon suite businesses. She's just like completely done it by herself. And so I was with Renee every day for the last 3 years. I did real estate, like learning how she did all this stuff by herself. She taught herself how to do all of it. That's kind of been my role model. I talk to her once in a while too. I've told her about Autumn, which is funny because I don't know, like you guys both, I look up to Autumn too. I didn't want to like be cheesy and say that, but
Autumn,
it came out.
Autumn, what about you? That's okay. That's not cheesy. That's just authentic. I appreciate that. Autumn?
Yeah, my mom was a mentor, an entrepreneur. She's been a hairstylist ever since I was, a little bitty kid. So I've seen that grit and that hard work, as well as I would probably say even just my coaches. I ran track forever, and just them pushing me beyond my own limits. And so what I now try to give off to members that come through Burn Boot Camp.
That's amazing. Jacqueline, 30 seconds.
I know. I'll be quick. Okay. Mine would probably be my mom too. I mean, she's been an entrepreneur since I was really little, and I watched her juggle home and everything else. So
that's amazing. We got a chance to meet her last week, which was fantastic. For me, I didn't have any entrepreneur parents. I had great parents, but obviously in a lot of areas, their examples have been an integral part of our growth and how we parent our kids and what we want to do. But from an entrepreneurial standpoint, I'm a big fan of just, listening to guys like Jim Rome, obviously Cardone, Gary Vee, guys that are aggressive in helping you figure out what you want to do and how to be successful in those different fields. And so, guys, I want to take a quick second to thank you, Autumn. Thank you, Danielle. Of course, Jim, Sonia, Jacqueline, our co-host. As we continue to grow this show, this community, some exciting news. Our Frisco show is up to 1.6 million views on YouTube, which is pretty awesome. And that happened pretty quickly. And it's just how we're sharing the show, the content. It's really due to the co-host. And so I know we're going to do a great job here with Plano. We are now on X. It still takes me a long time to not say Twitter, and over 35 different podcasts and radio live stream channels available as well. So you won't have a problem finding us. Guys, stick around next week. We'll be right back with you. And of course, on the show on the 7th of February, not November. That's a long time. We'll have Mayor John Muntz with us. So have a blessed week. Thank you so much. And we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you for watching today's show.
The Community Difference Plano.
I guess everybody else dropped off.